Okay, hi everybody. Not sure if everybody heard all my little bit there beforehand, but just to let you know that I am recording this session. So if you do have any issues with audio, I'll be sending a link out to everybody who's registered so you can play this video back and show it to your teams. You should have a little chat box somewhere in your screen that you can send me questions. And if you do have anything I can answer, I'll try and answer it in the session. If not, I will be getting back to everybody by email afterwards, shortly after. So we've got quite a few people in today and we've not done one of these in a long time. So what this is about is, just as it says, it's the basics. We want to just take you through the basics of the system. Some of you will be on a trial, some of you will be using it already, and we'll make sure you know how you take observations, how you get parents added, and all the really simple things that can get you up and running quickly. So let's share my screen with you guys now. So hopefully you can see what I'm seeing here. Just to give you a quick bit of background, where we started was at Arbor Green Nursery in Edinburgh, so it's actually been developed at a nursery. We realised that it was taking us a long time to fill out the observations and get them completed. So we made that for ourselves, and this is our website, Learning Journals, so this is where you probably came to us from. The system itself though, so if what I've got here is a demonstration account, and the way I've got it set up is for a typical private nursery. We might have some local authorities in with us this morning, but what we've got here are just the rooms in a typical private nursery. So a baby room, toddler room, preschool room. You can have as many rooms as you want. The rooms are really just a way to organise the children's profiles. So all the children's profiles or folders are within these rooms here. So if I was to click on the preschool room, we'll see all the children in the preschool room. So you can have as many children as you want. There's no limit to that in a room. And each one of these represents a child's folder. From this view, we can jump to different rooms if we want to. So I can go and have a look at the baby room, or I can check on an individual staff member's children if I want to. But if I open up this particular child here, if you imagine this just as opening up this child's folder. So what we've got on the right hand side are all the observations that have been taken for this child. And it scrolls all the way down, it's newest to oldest. And you go down all the way until you reach the time that this child started with you. This child that I'm currently looking at is a child in Scotland. So they're following what we call the Curriculum for Excellence. We have multiple curricula available on the website. So from all over the world actually, but we've got the EYFS in England, we've got various English speaking schools curricula, we've got Wales. We can actually customize the content that we have in our system, and I'll show you how that works in a little bit. Each observation tells you when the observation was taken, tells you what curriculum they're following, the curricular area. There's a description here which is filled in by the staff member. There's no limit to the content that can be put in here. It tells you which staff member took the observation and if it was last updated by somebody. It's detailed there. Each observation can have a next step. So these can be goals based on what you've seen in the observation. And each observation has some sort of evidence. So here we've got a photograph, but you can have photos, you can have videos, and you can have up to 4 of them. Each observation is also linked to the curriculum. So with Curriculum for Excellence, we have what are called learning outcomes and progression pathways, certainly in this part of Scotland. If I click on that tab, you can see the different outcomes and progression pathways that have been attached to this particular observation by the staff member. And there's also a rating. So there's a tracking system involved in the system with Learning Journals, and I'll show you how to talk to you a little bit about how that works in a little while. So probably the easiest thing for me to do now is demonstrate how you take an observation. Now, this is designed to be used on a tablet. We do have an iOS app for iPads, but you can access the system through Safari or on any Android tablet, just as you're seeing here. So if we click on Add Observation, this takes us into the observation creation process. So all we have to do now is just follow the steps. And we've tried to make it as easy as possible. I know there's different levels of comfort throughout nurseries when it comes to using technology. So the first thing you're asked to do is select learning outcome type, and let's just choose numeracy and maths. Then you're asked to describe the observation. So this is where the practitioner would put in their description of what they're seeing. So currently this might be done on post-it notes or just written in a book or whatever. But here you can type directly into the system. I'm going to do something very, very simple here that you would do something as basic as this. And we're on Amy, so I'll say Amy was learning to count to 10. What you'll also notice is if we make some sort of spelling mistake here, it's underlined. And this is a built-in spell check to all modern browsers, which should come in helpful for a lot of people. If you want to, you can add a next step into this observation. So if you want to create a goal based on what you've seen in the observation above, you can do that here. So it could be that Amy was learning to count to 10, but she was missing out the numbers 6 and 7 or getting them around the wrong way. You could put that and detail that in here if you want to. You can also choose to track a next step, and I'll actually just put one in here and track it. Missing out the number 7. But not every observation needs a next step, and not every next step needs to be tracked. So these are actually optional, the next step section here. The date and time, that's self-explanatory, so this is right now. We can change this though if you want to. So here we've got today's date, but if it's something that happened last week and I hadn't had time to do it yet, we can just go back in time and change it. Then it comes to uploading photos or videos. So if you're using a device or a tablet, it will ask if, and you click on this button, it will ask if you want to take a new photo or use an existing one. On the computer here, obviously, it's just going to ask me to upload a photo. So I'm just going to upload a photo of a rainbow. You can have up to 4 photos or videos. You can see how easy this is. You just click a few buttons. So once you've got your description, your next steps, and your evidence, you then move on to the next stage, which is connecting it to the curriculum. So as I say, this child's on the Curriculum for Excellence. So now what we're shown are the Curriculum for Excellence curricular areas here, and the experiences and outcomes down below for that particular curricular area. So if this child's on the EYFS, we would have the sort of 18 areas up the top here with all the statements down below. So it works exactly the same way. Now what you're asked to do is choose the statement that applies obviously to what you've just seen happen, and you do that with these little green buttons down the right hand side. So if we click on one, we can add as many of these as we want to, and we can also go across different curricular areas. So we're in numeracy and maths at the moment, but if I wanted to, I can click on expressive arts, and we're showing all the expressive arts experience and outcomes too, and we can add some of these as well. Now, if I go back into numeracy and maths, what you might have noticed is down the right hand side, we've got some numbers here. We've got 4 and a 2 and a 2 and a 2. What this is telling us is that this child has had 2 observations previously linked to this statement. So we can see where they've actually experienced a part of the curriculum before. The ones with a 0, obviously, that means we've not got any observations for this part of the curriculum. All the all the statements and outcomes that we've chosen appear at the top here. And before we move on, we're asked to rate the child's understanding. By default, it's a traffic light system, red, amber, green. The parents don't get to see the assessment that you're making here. This part is completely up to you whether you want to use it or not. It's there is a very powerful tracking system built into learning journals, but maybe not everybody wants to use that. But it's all in here if you want to. You just choose red, amber, green, and you can actually customize these labels. So if you wanted to use emerging, expected, exceeding, or developing, consolidating, secured, whatever you want, you can change that all in your settings. So moving on to the next stage, in this particular curriculum, we've got what we call progression pathways. And really, these are just I can statements. And this can vary between local authority, and certainly between curriculum. So in the EYFS, what we have in this section is the characteristics of effective learning. But it works exactly the same way. You choose from the list down below. You can go across different areas. So here we can have this is a particular one to the City of Edinburgh Council. We've got various options down here that you can choose from. You just add whichever ones you want to and move them into this box here. Our final stage is about connecting it to previous next steps. So if there were any next steps for this child, they would be detailed in a list down here. So this child, as we can see, actually doesn't have any outstanding next steps. What the system is asking us is, does the observation we have just completed, does it achieve any of the outstanding next steps? And if it does, we would link these two observations together. So what you would then see is, in the next steps tracker for this child, is that we would identify when a next step was first observed, when it was achieved, and what the child did to achieve that. So it's a really good thing to be able to show parents, to show that there's actually some development in specific areas, and you can view those next steps in their own sort of timeline, so you can see only the observations relating to that next step. You can choose whether you want to publish the observation, save it for later, or delete it. If you publish the observation, bear in mind that a parent will be able to see it if they happen to log into their own child's profile. You might want to save it for later if you're not quite ready yet for it to be displayed. A really handy feature that is a huge time saver for everybody is this one hidden away down here: publish this observation for other children. So you would use this in a group activity situation. So for example, in our nursery, we've got sometimes the fire brigade will come in and they'll do a talk on fire safety. So there might be a whole group of children doing that activity. And instead of having to copy all the photographs out and all the descriptions out, all we want to do is copy over to each child's profile. So in this case, what we would do is we would select the children that are available from the preschool room, for example, and we would say, okay, Davina, Mark, and Stuart, they were all involved in this particular activity, and this will copy everything over to their profiles, so you don't have to go and do it all yourselves. What you do have to be careful with, though, is that anything in the description box here will be copied over to these children too. So here we're saying Amy was learning to count to 10, and obviously we don't want Amy's name to appear in Davina, Mark, and Stuart's profiles. So the way we get around that is we use this little short code here, and it says replace the child's name in the box, and it says above, but it's actually below, with the code first name. So literally all we do is we replace Amy with first name in square brackets, all one word. And when we copy it over, it will then say Davina was learned to count to 10, Mark was learning to count to 10, Stuart was learning to count to 10. So click on begin, and that's it, done. So that's how you take an observation, and 95% of the time that is what staff will be using learning journals for. The core of the system and what we initially developed it for was to speed things up for practitioners and in the rooms, so you actually get much more time to spend with the children rather than filling out books and copying things over, printing photographs out, sticking them into books, all that sort of stuff. So hopefully that's quite clear about how that works. So you can see the observation that we've just done here. Amy was learning to count to 10. Now I can actually edit this one straight away if I want to, and if I want to add some more into it or go back and personalize it a little bit more, I could type into this area here. If I click on this, we can see the different experience and outcomes that I chose and the ratings that were chosen for them, and the progression pathways or characteristics for effective learning depending on the curriculum for this particular child. So hopefully that's quite clear here. And if anyone's got any questions on that, please just type them into the box. So going into the system a little bit further, if I click on our home tab here, what we see is this is the view that everybody sees when they first log in. And it is really just a summary of the different observations that have been taken so far this month. But you can change the time period if you want to. You can look up a particular child if you want to, or a particular staff member's key children, or a particular room, obviously, and any ones that have been saved for later, deleted, or published. So this is really good to get an overview of what's been happening in the nursery or the school. Then next to that, we've got a tab that's marked notifications. So any child that has not had an observation in over 7 days will appear on this list. Now, it's really just it's an information thing, and it could be that the child's away on holiday, they've gone away for 3 months or whatever, and they're due to come back. And being Isabel here, being on the list after 16 days isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's really just for your information. It's when it gets to the likes of 64 days, 70 days, that you maybe then want to go to your key person and say, Angela, did you know that Timmy's not had any observations in 64 days, for example? Next to notifications, we've got our parent comment tab. Now, probably, as I said, when we first created the system, it was really as a time saver. But quickly we noticed actually the most important feature is the parent engagement side of it. So beforehand, parents obviously had to come into the nursery, find their child's folder, go through it, maybe leave comments. And in our nursery, we certainly really struggled to get parents to engage with that. When parents pick up from the nursery, they really all they want to do is pick up. They want to drop off, then pick up, make sure everything went fine, and that's it. We obviously have the opportunity at parent consultations to go a little bit further in, but those are infrequent. And even then, it can be quite rushed because each parent only gets a sort of 10, 15-minute time slot. With learning journals, parents can log in wherever they are and see their own child's profile at any time. So they can leave comments, they can log in from their mobile phone, from an iPad, from a tablet, from a computer, laptop, at work, at home, on the bus, wherever, and they've always got access to this. When an observation is taken on their child, 24 hours later, an email will go out to them to let them know. There's a little bit of a time period in there, just to give you guys a little bit of extra breathing space. But that email acts as a really good prompt to enable, really good prompt for parents to log in and actually take part in their child's learning journal. In our nursery, we really struggled to get sort of 5 or 10 comments a year in the old folders. With this system, we have hundreds of comments, hundreds of comments a year, but you know, some months, if we've got a lot of activities going on, we'll have hundreds of comments in that month as well. It really is a night and day comparison, and it's great evidence to show that we've got a strong bond with our parents and that they are actually taking an active interest in what their children are doing at the nursery. So parent comments are fantastic. You can go and view these ones. You can click on that. We can see the actual observation for this here. So here we can see this child's parent, Melissa, was looking at examples of 3D shapes while going out for a walk. So that's really great. Next to our parent comments, we've got a reports tab. I'm not going to go into reports today because that's more of an in-depth one, and we'll do that in a future webinar. Next to that, we've got parent contributions, and these kind of link into the parent comments. For the longest time, the parent comments was the only way for parents to feedback, but now we have what we call parent contributions, and those of you who've already used the system or are already using the system may not actually be aware of this. So what it is possible to set up an area for parents to be able to access it. So I'm going to go back into Amy, our child Amy here. And if we look down the left-hand side, we've got several different options, but the one we're talking about here is this blue one. These can be set up in your configuration tab up here, and you can create as many of these as you want, and you can call them anything you want. So in this example, we've called it Achievements from Home. And these blue boxes are available to parents in their profiles, and parents can add to them. So they can upload a photo and upload a description as well. So if I click on this, you can see what the parents can see. Some people call them star moments or wow moments or my family, just as anything you really want to put in there, you can put in there. This is available as well on the iPad, available on tablets as well. So parents can do this on their tablets. They can do it on their phone too, but it's a little bit small maybe for on their phone. In fact, maybe go. I appear to be having some technical issues here with my screen. There we go. So here's an example of Amy's achievements from home. So this was uploaded by Amy's parent, Melissa. And we can see that she's titled it Fun Run, and Amy took part in the fun run during the Gala Day Civic Week. She managed to run 2K without stopping and had great fun. And they've uploaded a photo as well here. You can actually leave staff comments. We can see we've got an example of one down here as well. But these are just a fantastic way for parents to make their own little mark on the child's learning journal. They're kept separate from the professional observations that you guys do. And what we're going to do in the future is allow you to add statements from the curriculum into this part here. So that's parent contributions, a really useful addition. And if you're already a customer and you're not using it, then I would suggest that you maybe have a look at that. While we're here, we'll just have a look down here. There's a daily diary option available for everybody. This is free of charge. We can activate it for you. It's more like for daily sheets, so it records things like sleeps, nappies, all that sort of stuff. If you want that activated, just ask us. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about tracking. So bearing in mind that we consider, tracking is obviously very important, but it's not something that everybody's going to use. If I click on the Learning Tracker button for this particular child, for Amy, what this does is it brings up a report for this particular child. So here we can see the different curricular areas, and it's a very visual overview of how they're getting on in the curriculum and how much content they've covered. We can go into each individual section. So I can go into our health and well-being, or I'll go into numeracy and maths actually, so I've used that previously. And what we're showing here are all the different statements for this here. So what we can see is our different individual statements and what the child's been rated at. So we've got 4 observations, and this child is rated as amber on this one. Now, it's unrealistic to expect that you will have an observation for every single statement. It just can't happen. The curriculum for excellence, in fact, goes up until the end of primary 1. So this child will have left by the time they're expected to have experienced all this. So even at nursery, they're not going to be expected to do that. So what we have been able to do, if you want to, in your time with the child, you might know through your just professional experience that this child is actually secure in this particular area, angles and symmetry. You might not have an observation to say that, but you've been working with this child for 2 years and you know that they are secure with that. You can actually make a selection yourself, and you can either choose to update that to a different color. You can do it for the whole area if you want to. So actually we know that this child is green in this one here, and it changes to green. This might be too granular for some people. You might not have the time to go into this, but this facility is available, and the feature is there if you do want to use it. This is for this particular child though. So what might be more helpful to a lot of people is the ability to look at a lot of children at once. And the way we do that is through our Children tab, and there's a button marked Cohort Tracking. So when we go in here, we're asked to choose our parameters for our report. Again, I'll choose Curriculum for Excellence, and I'll just build that report now. And what this does, I'll zoom out a little bit. What this does is it gives you an overview again of all children following following this curriculum. Hopefully it's quite self-explanatory. So we've got our curricular areas at the top and our organisers down the side here, and we've got lots and lots of little boxes filled out. So these ones are automatically done based on the observations that you've already taken, so you don't actually have to do anything else to see this. But like in the previous section, you might find that you're never going to get an opportunity to have an observation in every particular area. So what you can do is you can click on each box, and if you want to, you can amend that yourselves. And you'll see that a manually amended one has got a little M on it to show you that has been manually changed. So we might know, actually, for cooperation and competition, we know that Sonia is actually secure in this particular area. So we click it and make an M. What this report is really handy for is for highlighting any outliers. So for example, we could have a look down our report here and see that, oh yeah, Grant Mackay has not had any observations at all. Now that might be because he's a new child and he's just joined us, or it could be because he's been completely missed. So this, for a management point of view, or for anyone, could have a look at this report and we could say, okay, now we know we need to maybe investigate that, speak to the key worker and find out why that is. Similarly, if we look down the rows, the columns, sorry, we can see that for, in our health and wellbeing section, substance misuse, we've only got one child that's got any observations here, and that's Alistair. And it might be that this is just part of the curriculum we've not chosen to experience yet for all the children. We could decide to build a topic out for that if we want to, but it highlights any part of the curriculum which is underused. And obviously the report will also show you children who are who stand out significantly from their peers as well. For those of you in England, I'll just do a quick one on the EYFS as well, so you can see that. So here we go with EYFS. We've got it split down into the different age bands and the 18 or so groups up here. You can print this report, but quite often the curriculum are very, very wide because of the number of sections in them. So this goes over to multiple pages. I guess I would say the system was designed so you don't need to print things out all the time, but you'll find various print buttons around as you see them. For things like staff, children and parents, adding those is very, very simple. If we click on our staff tab here, we can see that all the staff that we've got, and staff can either be a nursery manager, a key worker, or what we call external support. So a manager is what you're seeing here. They have access to everything. A key worker doesn't have access to the staff page, the parent page, or the configuration page. And a nursery external support, they only have access to specific children. So this could be if you've got speech therapists or social workers or someone who works with an individual child, you only want to give them access to one particular child. Or several particular children, you can do that. It's really easy to add them. You just click on add new staff, and it's a case of choose which role you want to give them, and then it's first name, last name, or email address. The same goes for parents. So we get to see all our parents here, and we add a new parent. We can see when parents were last logged in, and we can see who they're parents of. So this is quite handy for seeing if parents are not actually using the system or when they actually did last use it. Our comments for each parent is down here. So if you want to see which comments they've had, and using this children button, you can assign them different children. So here David is, excuse me, the parent of Jennifer. Click on the children button. Turns out Jennifer's got a sister called Sonia. If we add Sonia in here, when David next logs in, he'll have a tab for Sonia and a tab for Jennifer. So parents only have to get one login detail for all their children. The way you add parents is, again, to add new parent, and it's first name, last name, and email address. Please, please, please make sure you spell their names correctly and put in the correct email address. It really is up to you to make sure you've got the correct spellings of all these things and that the correct parent is connected to the correct child. And the same obviously goes for children. You can add children in here. Last thing I want to talk about really is just very, very briefly is around security. Obviously, it's important that our system is secure and that you do your best to help keep it secure. And the way you would do that is through your password management. So everybody that logs in has their own username, password, and PIN configuration. You can have a look on our website. We've got some information about security here, right down the bottom. We've got a little page about staff and parent responsibility. Maybe share that with your staff and parents, because it really is important that everyone is comfortable with the system and they're aware of how secure it is. We use some of the most advanced techniques possible to keep it secure and to keep all their information safe. We have some videos down the bottom here, and these will help you if you're wanting to know how to achieve certain actions. You can use that in there as well. We've also got things like sample letter to parents or policy templates that you can use to allow parents, or to let parents know that you're going to be starting to use learning journals. So if you would like to have a trial of the system, if those of you who are not already using it, you'll know that what you'll be interested in is to get a free trial. And we do offer, we say 30 days, but we're quite flexible on that. So if you go to our free trial for nurseries page, complete this form, and we'll get that, the login details sent out to you very shortly afterwards. Use it as much as you want. You can add as many children or parents as you want, and try it out and make sure that it's going to be the right thing for your nursery. We've got something like 80 to 90,000 parents now using the system, and the feedback that we get from them is quite amazing. We certainly never thought we'd get to that level, but to know that we're actually making a difference to so many different, so many families, schools and nurseries throughout the country really is quite good. So we'd love it if you would sign up for a trial as well, if you're not already doing so. If you do need to get in touch with us, we've got a phone number up here, and you can also contact us through the website, through this online form right here. Thanks very much for coming along. If you have any questions, please do get in touch and we'll do our very best to answer them. We'll be doing further webinars, so keep your eyes on our website, and we'll send out emails to update everybody. And also this video will be available later today for everybody to see. Thanks very much everyone for coming along, and hopefully speak to you again.